Hi guys, how's it all going? It's Friday, so welcome to another Live at 5. Just joined with Mead today, so you got the pleasure of my company for about half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on how long I can talk for. The rest of the team are out and about, a couple of them are away and on holiday, and we've been canning today. So we are batching up, we've got about 50,000 cans being canned today. So a couple of them are just having a look at that. I think they're on their way back now. So hi guys, if you're listening. As always, if you've got any questions, then pop them in the comments box below, and we will endeavour to answer them. I say we, it's obviously just me this week. But yeah, always good to have a bit of back and forth, especially as I'm on my own. It's been a busy week here at Gosnells, as always. Sorry, I'm just tidying up my workstation. There you go. Looks a bit tidier. Been a bit frantic one this week. I feel like it always gets to Friday at 5, and we always say the same thing, but it's been a long week. But just the way of the world at the moment. We've been doing all kinds of things. Guess we're really trying to get ready for Christmas at the moment. So we've been doing lots of work on the website, and also playing around with what kind of new products we're going to put together for Christmas. So we've got loads of exciting things coming up. We've kind of taken some of the work we've been doing over the year, particularly around our limited edition 75cl bottles. So the ones that are made with really special types of honey. We are batching those up together as little tasting kits for Christmas, so that you can buy a selection of our bottles and we'll talk you through the range at home, which is really exciting. We've been working on this really high strength mead, sort of 20%, which we want to turn into a vermouth eventually, which will be made with obviously a honey base. And so we're going to be turning that into a little make your own vermouth kit at home. So you'll get some of our base spirit and then some herbs and spices that you can put together and create your own really amazing vermouth at home. But lots of exciting things coming on the website. Hopefully we'll get all that up next week and out. In the meantime, you can still buy our cans online. They're ever popular. So we've got doing the 4 packs, 12 packs and 24s, which is really exciting. Yeah, it's just loads of stuff going on. What else have I been working on this week? Lots of stuff towards the end of the year, just kind of getting plans in place for next year, and got lots of exciting things coming. I'm starting off this evening with as always, with a beer, but like a non-out Radler from called Culture Shock, which is by Rock Leopard and Good Karma Brew Co. And that's delicious. So if you don't know, a Radler is German style, essentially a shandy. This is a non-out version, and it's perfect on a Friday. It's especially hot in the brewery today because we've been pasteurising, or I've been pasteurising today, so it's really hot in here. But good to slake your thirst with a nice non-out beer. Just really does the job. Later on, we're going to be tasting through. Thought I would dig into the archives of some of our meads from around the world and taste through some of those and sort of talk to you a bit about what's going on in the mead world more generally. But in the meantime, if you've got any questions as we go through, do pop them in the comments below. Love a bit of interaction on a Friday night. Highlight of my week, obviously. It's speaking to all you guys. So what we normally start off, Will and I, talking about what I've been cooking this week. What have I been cooking this week? I've just signed up to a veg box, very excitingly. So we've been using up lots of veg. Did some celeriac steaks last night, which is actually surprisingly good. Some salt-baked celeriac, and then fried off in the pan after that. Absolutely delicious. And at work, what have we been making this week? That's what we've been doing. We've got our new a little can seamer for our small batch program. So thanks a lot to you guys. Sorry, I've just seen a comment which is, what have you been cooking? From Will. Thanks, Will, just covered that. So we have been setting up our new can seamer so we can do some small batch cans. So that's really exciting. Thanks to all of you again who've supported us on the crowdfunder. So we should have those be coming out at the end of the month, sorry. Someone's going to kill me. It's not the end of the week. End of the month. And the first mead that we're putting into can is our Bragger. So this is made with a sorghum base and then some Nottingham yeast, so a traditional ale yeast, and then some hops, some New World hops. I'm not entirely sure on the hop blend. I'm not sure if we settled the one yet. But we've just about to start brewing that on Monday, so we've been getting prepared for that. That's really exciting. And then the second small batch mead we're going to be doing is, which I'm really excited about because it's going sort of towards Christmas, is a slow berry mead, as in SLOE, which is, if you're not familiar with sloes, they're these tiny little very tart berries that you get in the UK. Traditionally used for making sloe gin, but we're going to be making a slow mead, and that's going to be about 10%. So 10% canned mead, just in time for Christmas. What more could you want? That's really, that's what we've been up to. So yeah, hi guys, to those of you who have joined. Hi Billy, hi Will, good to hear you. As if you've got any questions, carry on typing them in the comment section below, and I will answer them, I promise. So this week, I thought I would delve back into some of the archives from some of the mead I've collected whilst I've been around the world. Makes me sound very exotic. I generally just, most of my travel is for work, so I end up at a meadery. We'll start off with a session mead from Charm City, which is their Wildflower Draft Mead at 6.9%. Move on, so we'll swap the order here. We'll do a Liquid Alchemy Brew, which is also from the US. Not very far apart actually. This one is Baltimore and this one's Delaware. Move on to a Singaporean mead called Rachel the Rabbit. And finish off with some honey gin, which I picked up this week. So yeah, let's get into it. I think what I wanted to start with was this Charm City one. So this is a really cool expression of a session mead. This is their wildflower flavour. They do various different flavours as well as this one. But this is, I'm doing a terrible job there. It's Friday, isn't it? Pouring that. So this is, I went to see James and the team down in Baltimore, when was it? Was it last year? Must have been sometime last year. And we had a really good time. They showed me around. It was really nice to speak to them. We actually spoke to them on our previous season of the podcast last year, talking all things mead. I picked up some cans, so these are probably not the freshest ones, but I'm sure they'll still be delicious. So as you can see, this is 6.9%, which is a session mead in the US, and that is really, I guess, the kind of the strongest that most session meads in cans go. Various government rules about how strong you can make stuff. 6.9% is about as strong as you can make it, and easily get through a lot of the bureaucratic mess. So most of the session meads you see coming out of the States are right up at that 6.9% level. So on the nose, you get a little bit of funkiness, and then this kind of honey character coming through. And notice this is beautifully light and clean. It's relatively dry, and really sessionable. So I wouldn't notice that was 6.9%. It's a lot stronger than perhaps what we serve in sort of 4% cans. Perfect on a nice, well, it's baking hot in the brewery today. Nice, hot, sunny day. So yeah, a delicious way to open up. Really, it's really cool to see some of the stuff coming out of the States that kind of mirrors a little bit of what we're doing in terms of that session mead style. So bringing the ABVs down and making it a lot more, I guess, accessible as a category, right? Because some of the other stuff that we'll try, it's absolutely delicious, but it is a lot stronger, and it requires a little bit more of an occasion to drink, potentially with food, and just can't drink necessarily as much of it. We've got a couple of questions. I'm just going to lean in. What is the best way to pass time whilst you're stuck in a traffic because of an accident? So this will be Will, who's coming back from Herefordshire today. How do I like to pass time in the car? It's got to be an audiobook, Will. Or if you've got a partner with you in the car, you can always just ask him to tell you a story about his life. Maybe his childhood. I don't know. That's always a good way. Anyway, back to the mead. So as I said, Charm City do a whole range of meads and cans, and then they also do some stronger stuff as well, which is really cool. They've got this amazing place just outside. Well, I got a train to Baltimore, but it's pretty much city centre Baltimore, from what I could tell. Anyway, and it's got an amazing tap room, really sweet. I think it's a wild goose canning line. They're pumping out some really cool stuff, and it's cool to see, I guess, where we want to take the brand in terms of the scale, and where we want to grow to. So it's good to have a bit of inspiration. And James there is doing some amazing stuff. They're also featured in Total Wines. They sell the Total Wine in the States, same as us, which is always good. So if you're listening from the States, you can pick up all our cans and Charm Cities from Total Wine. so check it out. We always love to sell a few more cans, especially in the US. Yeah, this is just going down very easily. Yeah, definitely on the second second tasting, kind of opens up a lot more, and yeah, just a really good second Mead. Not a huge amount to say about that. It's kind of tart, citrusy, got a nice dry honey finish on it, and yeah, I mean, I would drink that all day. Good work, guys. Good work. Moving on, the next one I'm going to try is from the guys at Liquid Alchemy Brewing, who are in Delaware. I actually visited them on the same trip, and it was really cool. They were very kind to come and pick me up from the station in a snowstorm. Don't really have snowstorms in London, not to the same extent. And showed me around the facility. And it was amazing just to see what they're doing on a smaller scale. So they've got a whole series of meads which they are bottling, and I think they definitely do some cider as well, and their cider was absolutely amazing too. So I highly recommend checking those guys out, but we'll get on to tasting that in just a second. I guess I can talk a bit about how I started Gosnells, and actually it was inspiration from the US. That was one of the places that I first visited and first came across mead that I really enjoyed. So I was travelling up on the East Coast in Maine, and I came across this place called Maine Mead Works, and it was just awesome. I mean, looking back on it, it was just the maddest place in terms of how they were doing their fermentation, and well, mad, but it was really interesting. So again, a nice city centre location, and what they were doing was taking honey from their hives or their partner hives from just outside the city, and fermenting it into this just delicious alcohol. And for me, that was really inspirational. The idea that you could take amazing honey and turn it into amazing booze obviously makes sense, but at the time, I hadn't really put those things together. So that was where kind of the spark of the idea came from. And that's what we're all about at Gosnells, is taking really good quality honey and making really good quality booze out of it. And yeah, it's just really exciting. So that's Maine Mead Works. I mentioned their fermentation process. At the time, I hadn't had much professional fermentation experience. This was, oh God, it must have been about 10 or 12 years ago now. That makes me feel very old. But they're doing this, I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but it's a continuous fermentation process. And basically what they have is this enormous, long stainless steel trough with a substrate and some yeast on it. And what they were doing was pumping, or dripping rather, slowly flowing, sticky honey water through that substrate. And as it passed through the substrate, the yeast was turning the sugar into alcohol. And at the end, it was dropping out as much more concentrated mead. And so it's this continuous fermentation process, and I think they were saying that it takes about 24 to 48 hours for the liquid to pass through the substrate and turn from obviously honey and water to alcohol. And that's really interesting. So the idea that they're running this continuous fermentation process, it's just super exciting. So I think that's one of the things that also drew me to me, was that the innovation in the category, because there's not that many established players. There's not that many established styles. There's a license to do things in a completely new and innovative way, which is really exciting. Got a few more guys joining. As always, if you've got any questions, do drop in the comments below. I'll try and speak slowly. I have a habit on a Friday night of gabbling away, so if I'm talking too quickly, do let us know. Hi Sam, hi James. If you've got any questions, James, obviously you work here, so try and be kind. But Sam, if you've got any questions, do drop in the comments below. So yeah, moving on to the second US mead, which is this Tiger, love a pun, and it's made with chili peppers and lime, and yeah, let's get into it. I'll just rinse that out. Yeah, so what we have here, I think this is more like 12%. What is this? Oh yeah, 12.5%. Nice half bottle size there. On the nose, you're getting some of the chili coming. You're getting the chili flavour coming through. You're getting some of the honey coming through. And it's a lot richer. So obviously this is a lot stronger. I imagine it's going to be a bit sweeter. I can't actually remember exactly. Probably about 6 months ago that I tasted this. Than the previous one, which is a much more lighter, sessionable drink. This one is a bit more serious, but it is, on the nose, absolutely delicious. just get that hint of fruit from the chilies, which is really cool. So it is sweeter. Oh man, that is cool. That is bloody cool. Oh, and it's just beautiful. So, sorry. So what I'm tasting is that the sweet notes coming through, and then at the back, it's just got this gentle chili warming, and you get they put some lime in there as well, so there's a bit of that coming through, along with the honey, which is a really cool kind of flavour. And they all marry together, particularly on a cold winter's day. This is delicious. I've had this in the fridge for just a little bit, just to bring it down to about 10, 12 degrees. But that is really, that's really warming. It's just really smooth. It's really kind of, yeah, it's complete, and there's no spiky notes there. It's just a nice, rounded, beautiful flavour. Yeah, that's absolutely delicious. And so then I'm going to carry on telling a story about how I came across Mead, because otherwise I'm just going to bang through these drinks. So after I came back from the States, I obviously, as everyone does, starts homebrewing. So I started homebrewing on a really small scale, so sort of 5, 10 litre batches, and gradually building up until we got to the point in my flat where we were doing more like 100 litre batches. And that's the point which you get, right, I'm going to have to actually do this, or I'm going to have to stop this. And obviously I had to scale it up. So fortunately I got made redundant from my job, so that's a nice segue into me making professionally. And that was 2013, where I set up the business here in Peckham, in London, where we're based today. And originally we were based just around the corner, just across the industrial estate in a small little room. And so that's where I kind of perfected the first recipe. And the first recipe I made was the 5.5%, the London Mead, which is what we call it. On the website is our signature Mead, now served in a big bottle, 75 cl. At the time, we were making it in small beer bottles, so 33 cl bottle. And that was kind of where I really cut my teeth. So it was, for about a year, 18 months, it sounds quite lonely. It was just me making and selling the mead. And actually, that's where all the idea came from. I realised we were onto something when I just couldn't keep up with demand. And that's really exciting, when you're making something yourself and you're selling it and you're seeing the joy you're bringing to people. No, as in, like, you're taking something. The mead was not an established category in the UK back then. Very few people had heard of it, and if they had, it was kind of traditional legacy brands which were either they had at the back of a cupboard or had been forgotten about. And so it's really cool to bring something delicious to them and get them excited about mead. And for me, it's about telling the story of the honey. So the original honey I kind of settled on was an orange blossom honey. And that was mainly because it was a really consistent flavour. So it's really kind of well behaved, and you can achieve the same results in terms of the flavour profile over and over again. So our signature mead is still made with orange blossom honey today, and all we've done is we've evolved the recipe. So I think it's fair to say that it's gone through some iterations. It's really been worked on, particularly Rob, our previous head brewer, and Will, our current head brewer, have really honed that. So I would say that's almost finished, right? It's almost the perfect product. It's 5.5%. It's nice and crisp. It's refreshing. Does really well in place of, say, champagne as an aperitif, which means that it's only 5.5%. So if you're serving it at a sexy cocktail party, which everyone's at sexy cocktail parties at the moment, I know, it's only 5.5%. So you can serve a decent volume of it without people getting too squiffy about it, which is really good. I'm just going to have a little bit more of this liquid alchemy brew from Delaware. It's delicious. It's really good. It's been in the bottle for probably, well, a little while now, and it's really kind of come together and coalesced as a flavour. So that's the story of how I got into Mead and how I got here. We set up this brewery space here in about 2015, 2016, and this is where we do all the brewing today. And we're probably getting to the point where we are going to have to look to move, which is exciting again. I think we were planning on moving sometime this year, but obviously the best laid plans of mice and men hasn't quite come together. But next year, I think we'll be on the move. Anyway. That's just absolutely delicious. Along the way, obviously, I've been lucky enough to travel around the world. So we export quite a bit of our mead, particularly to Asia. So we sell quite a lot to Singapore and Hong Kong, and then quite a lot to Korea as well. So this is a bottle of mead that I picked up in Singapore. So I went to see Rachel the Rabbit. Again, it must have been last year, because obviously it's not this year. And this was again a really cool kind of setup in industrial estate outside of the city. Well, I mean the whole island's the city, but more in the industrial district. It was an amazing space, very clean, much more like a small batch winery than maybe a brewery. And they were doing these really cool slow fermentations to get this liquid. And obviously it's named after his daughter, which is always nice. And it's called the Uppercut. So it's got lemon, ginger, and honey. So similar kind of, we've got a winter theme here, a little bit warming for winter. So yeah, let's give this one a go. And that's what's really interesting about Mead, I think, is that there's this demand internationally for it. So whilst the UK is still growing in terms of the market for Mead, it's got this universal appeal. So everybody knows about honey, and you can tell that honey story around the world wherever you go. Also, I love export because I get to travel. Everyone loves to get to travel. And travelling for work when you make booze is always fun. I'm always looked after. And the guys in Singapore always look after me very well. So, Michael, if you're watching, thanks very much for all your help. And the food is, if you haven't been to Singapore, I'll tell you what, you could just go there for the food alone. Just the amount of amazing cuisine I've had there. I think it's that because it's such a melting pot between lots of different cultures. It's just amazing. Always eat very well in Singapore, especially after. It always ends up. I would normally go out there for the Singapore Beer Festival, which means we finish about 2 in the morning and then go out for dinner. By which time it's like 10 o'clock London time. I'm always very tired, but they always give me a good feed, which is kind of all I'm into, really. So that's interesting. So it's a lot drier than the liquid alchemy. Not that this was super sweet, cloyingly sweet, but this one is a lot drier, a lot more complex. It's got this gentle warmth from the ginger. It's not kind of, it's not super. I mean, you say honey, lemon, ginger, you kind of immediately think quite medicinal flavours. It's not like that at all. It's got this dryness that kind of binds everything together, and a nice kind of smooth finish. That again is really cool. It's interesting to remember back as how these have aged. So definitely, both of these two in the bottle have definitely come together a lot in flavour. And that's generally my top tip for amateur mead makers out there. Is if you're making something that's not quite come together, or has got a few off notes, or is a little bit too, particularly high alcohols is a problem that we often have to deal with. Leave it to age, and all those flavours will kind of marry together and achieve a sense of harmony, which is really cool. So following up my story, I'll carry on talking about the history of Gosnells, if you like. If you don't like, do mention in the comments. Seriously though, if you've got any questions, or if I'm going too quickly, do just shout in the comments. I love to answer a few questions. James, if you've got anything, much appreciated. So where did we get up to? Oh, so we moved into this brewery here. So yeah, we set up the space from scratch, and actually there are obviously loads of things you do differently in hindsight because it's 2020, but we did a pretty good job. So we bought those Spiegel fermenters. So these are really Gucci bits of kit from Spiegel behind us, German company. All bells and whistles, which are great. And that's what we initially did all of our fermentation in. So we've got 2 1,000 litre tanks. And then if I spin you over here, I can't move the camera, but we've got some old dairy tanks which we use for fermentation today. So we've expanded the fermentation capacity and really kind of honed down our craft. And I guess what's really exciting, I mean, a lot of people come and visit us and are surprised at how small the production facility is. I don't know whether they're just being polite or they are actually genuinely surprised. But we can turn around quite a lot of liquid here because of what we're making is the cans at 4%. They only take about a week, 10 days to ferment. So actually we can flip the tanks relatively quickly. Obviously the stronger things we do, which we do barrel aging in, or if we do the vintage, the vintage must be in the tank. I will find some of the vintage. Oh, the vintage is just here. Maybe I'll have a little taste of that in a second as someone can shout in the comments about about what that is. But some of our stronger stuff will take longer for them. But the main bulk product, sorry, the core range of what we make actually only takes about a week. So we can flip each of these tanks once a week. And we've got into a really good rhythm here of being able to make about 6,000 litres a week, which is really exciting because we obviously are in London, property prices are high, we can have a really efficient brewing space, which is really cool. And actually there's a lot in common with when I went to the guys in Singapore, and they were also working on quite a tight space because of the cost of facilities and stuff. So you can see the same kind of things happening around the world, which is really exciting. So I've got a quick question. Michael here. Question on aging your can mead. Yes, no, why, what to expect? So I think on aging the can mead, basically what we've done with the can process is we've made the liquid in the tanks behind us. We've then pasteurised it to stop the fermentation. So that means we've heated it up to around 60 degrees, 65 degrees, between 60 and 70 degrees, say. And that means that it stopped the fermentation. So the flavours will continue to develop in the can, but it's not going to be as pronounced as some of our bottled products where there's more sediment and more yeast in there. So that means that the cans will age and they will develop in flavour and kind of get a bit more harmonious. Particularly something like the sour can will age really well. And we found that over time it's kind of just merged together a bit more on the flavours being a bit, not two-tone, but they really coalesce. And because they're pasteurised in can, canning is a really safe way of storing things. So it means they're not going to go off. So if you're worried about the cans going off, we put a best before date at 2 years on that. We think they'd probably be good forever, to be honest. There's a little bit of oxygen ingress through the can, but nowhere near what you get from a bottle. So yeah, I think they will continue. I wouldn't expect a pronounced difference. Most of the difference will come between packaging date and probably 2 months. After that, it'll probably be about the same. Yeah, guys, if you've got any other questions, then just jump in. What else? Oh, I went to see a company called the British Honey Company this week. And they're a really cool company. They basically buy loads of honey from around the UK and they package it into jars and sell to the public, but they also make booze out of it, which is really exciting. Spirits primarily. So they have a couple of different brands, but their main brand is this Keeper's brand, which is, I haven't actually tried this yet, so I'm excited to try it. It's a gin that is made with some locally sourced botanicals and then blended with honey after it's been distilled. So it's going to be, well, I'll try it in a second, but it's going to be quite a much sweeter, much more delicate, I guess, flavour than maybe any other gins. I'll give it a try and then I can tell you. Anyway, what was really exciting about going to see these guys is the sustainability of their story, the way that they can trace all of the honey that's in the bottles back through to exactly which hive it's come from. And they've spent a lot of time and effort doing that. That's really cool. Just the idea of having that concrete link with the terroir and the land is it's just really cool. So it's gin, not mead, so I just need to make sure it's a normal measure and not a massive measure. So you can see it's got this beautiful honey colour in. And it's lovely packaging and labelling. Anyway, it's been a while since I've had a neat gin. I'll have to warm myself up to it. Just takes me back to uni. I don't know what your uni drinks were, but gin, in was definitely a feature of my uni days. This is obviously much better gin than that. Oh yeah, that's absolutely delicious. I can really see why it's a hit. So obviously you've got all the gin flavours from the base spirit they produce, but then the honeyness, cool. Gin's gone to my head. The honey flavours really kind of shine through, and the sweetness just rounds out some of the alcohol. So you really don't notice it's there. Obviously it's still 40%, but you don't notice that it is 40%. Oh, that's really delicious. I can imagine that with some soda water, a little bit of maybe some lemon or some cucumber just to bring it out. It's absolutely delicious. Oh, that's really cool. Anyway, so they're based out up in Oxfordshire, so check them out if you want to try some honey spirits. It's pretty cool. Actually, that was one of the things that where we were trying to get going again this year was distilling some of our mead. So I think it was probably, I can't remember the time, 2 years ago. This year feels like it's forever. About 2 years ago, we distilled some of our base mead into a spirit, and we did that up with the East London Liquor Company, and that was fucking amazing, right? It was so cool to have all that honey character come through into the spirits. I'm not really a distiller. Sorry, I'm not a distiller. And to get that character coming through was really amazing. They did a really, they only took the sort of the core heart of the product, so I think they made, their cuts were a lot larger than normal, so the yield wasn't that high, but what we did get out right at the middle of the distillation was this amazing honeyed spirit, and that was really cool. So yeah, hopefully we can get that project sort of running again next year, get someone to distill some of the mead and make a new kind of spirit, which would be really cool. As always, that's one of the exciting things about mead, is there's just so many different things we can do here. Yeah, the world is your lobster, as they say. Guys, if you've got any questions or any thoughts or comments, do get involved. Hi Rupert, nice to see you. I can see everyone sort of popping in and out, it's always good. Otherwise, I'll continue talking about our vintage. So yeah, so we put on our vintage this week, which we call it our vintage. We use honey from the same hives each year, and so that means that we started in 2018, so this is the third year we've done it, and we've been using the same hives up in Walthamstow marshes. And what's really cool about that is you get a sense of the terroir of the land, and so it's just is an expression of all the land and all the things the bees have been eating that year. And it's really cool to be able to compare it year on year and see what differences there are and what the bees have been eating and how that's affected the flavour of the honey and the flavour of the mead. And that's really cool. I think, as I've mentioned before, we're trying to really drive home that sense of terroir, the honey messaging. And actually for Christmas what we've done is we're going to put in some little samples of all the that gin has gone to my head. Anyway, we're going to put in little samples of all the honey that each of the special batch meads have been made out of. So the idea is that you can sit there and you can taste the mead and you can taste some of the honey that it's come from. And that's a really cool way of being able to say, oh look, I can really imagine how this honey has turned into this beautiful liquid. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Sorry, someone's just requested to join our video. Probably not today. Drop me an email if you do want to be involved next time though, and we will, yeah, we're always up for some guests, virtually or in person. Probably not in person at the moment, we're under lockdown still in London, but yeah, maybe next time. So yeah, so the vintage is a really cool project, and all the small batch meads are really cool. What else? I was going to try some of the vintage. Here we go. Let me see if I can still work this. I'm attached, so I'm just going to try not to. There we go. Cool. So this is the vintage we put on this week. This week? Was it last week? God, what is time anymore? You just kind of. Anyway, so you can see you can see all the honey in suspension there. It's got a lot of. It's quite a raw honey, is what I'm trying to say. There's quite a lot of flavours. There's quite a lot of other bits and bobs in the honey. So in terms of the wax, bits of the hive, some of the pollen, etc., which all lends itself to a much richer structure than maybe some of the more processed honeys we use for some of the lower alcohol meads. This is where we can kind of let that honey tell its own story, as opposed to having to lead it, kind of get it where we want. It's a bit like woodworking, right? You want to follow the line of the wood, as opposed to trying to force it. Oh, that is so good. So it's still super sweet. It must be about 6 or 7% at the moment. So it's going to go to about 12 or 13%. But it's so cool. So you get this kind of green flavour. It's mid-fermentation, so you get these really green notes, which is really exciting. And then at the end, it is still really sweet. So it's kind of like go-go juice. It's really good. with those beautiful honey notes. The honey itself was quite dense, has a lot of hedgerow flavours in, and you can kind of see some of the blackcurrant notes coming through. I'm just going to have another taste because sweetness is a little bit confusing on the old taste buds. Oh, no, that's really cool. I'm really excited for this one to come out. So this will be our third vintage, so it means that we can do a 3-pack for Christmas, and you can sit there and do a vertical tasting of Mead. World's first vertical tasting of Mead? I feel like quite a lot of the claims we make around world's first. Always make a claim and then wait for someone to write to us and say it's not actually a world's first. But no, I'm really excited to get that vintage off this year, compare it to 2019 to 2018. Yeah, so lots of things going on. Very excited for Christmas. Bit weird at the moment, so I think we're going to be mainly online, doing lots of tastings. So, guys, if you want if you've got a corporate tasting, or if you want us to do tasting for your friends or your family, then do just drop us an email. We're doing group tastings online via Zoom, so we'll send out all the bits, and then you can just taste your way through it. Yeah. Otherwise, guys, I think I might draw it to a close there. It's been a long week with lots of stuff going on. I'm so excited to get back at it next week. Guys, thanks a lot for your time. If you have any questions in the meantime, drop us an email to podcast@gosnells.co.uk or send us a Facebook or Instagram message, and we'll aim to answer it. In the meantime, make sure you stock up on me for some weekends. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.